Thank you very much. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. What a fantastic evening. As the evening increases, the lights are shining on very brightly. And three of the people who I really believe have transformed the legacy, continue to do so as second generation entrepreneurs and business people. You heard different perspectives from women leaders here. I really want to begin with the first one about how does it mean to be born in a business family and then end up doing the same thing that your father or a forefather really started with it. What I want to do is, Brahmani, if you permit me, start with you and then go across the panel.
So Siddharth, I think my experience has been a little different. And first of all, thank you so much Business Today for having me. And Siddharth, it's always a pleasure to be speaking with you. My experience is a little different because I wasn't born into the family that started the business. I was married into the family that started the business. And I was extremely privileged to have that experience. But honestly, I think it's a lot of responsibility. I take it up as a responsibility to take forward a fantastic business of purpose that was started more than 3 decades ago. It was started, it's a dairy business. We're into milk and milk products. And it was started by a tall leader, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, for the purpose of helping farmers in his village in the Chittoor district. So it's a huge responsibility because we are a federated model. We are a business that's meant for the empowerment of farmers, which I'm personally really excited about. Again, I'm excited about it because I think a lot of stakeholders, important stakeholders in our business are women naturally. Right from the suppliers, 80% of our farmers are women. And on the consumer side as well in the market, the major decision makers of health and nutrition for any family ends up being the woman of the family. So for me, I think it's a huge opportunity to empower women through our business, and the impact that we can have, I think, is tremendous. So it excites me and it feels very motivating to be in this space.
I'm glad you said that context because it's not just about being born in a business family. As Brahmani said, you could be married into one and you'll still have to carry forward that legacy. And she's like hands-on running that company. That very same question to you. What would you say about getting into the family business and having the load, responsibility, and some ways the pressure to excel?
Thank you everybody for having me, and thanks Siddharth for the question. And it's amazing to be on the panel with two of my friends. So honestly, I was born into a business family, but I was never made to feel that way because we never had business conversations on the table ever. Like we never had anything. My parents, to a very large extent, just wanted to, I think, protect their children. They wanted us to remain kids to to the level that we could. So around when I was a teenager, I went to the US to school and I studied there. Even then, right, I didn't really understand what, good or bad, I didn't understand what it was to run a business, why I should. And I think a lot of us, unfortunately, are like that because we have the, we're very, I guess, content with what we have. We're provided whatever we need. But even in school, I was a total nerd. So it was just complete book knowledge. So it wasn't something that I learned from when I was a child. It was just something that I actually started developing once I joined the company. One day, I was actually pursuing fashion earlier in my career. One day, my dad just had a meeting with me and he was like, hey, why don't you jump into Granules? We're doing this, this, this. So I said, okay. And even then, I was just working. I was going to work. I was just coming back 9 to 5, just doing that. But I think the true responsibility hit me when I moved to the US again and when I was made accountable for a division overnight. And that's where I think the whole aspect of what a business is, how do you run it, I learned everything on the job. But what the family taught me was resilience. I saw my father work day in and day out because he was an entrepreneur that came from absolutely nothing. And my mom was the silent force behind everything. She was also working in the company and taking care of her family. So I think that is what I learned from being a part of a family business.
Many things to unpack there, and that pivot point that you spoke about, we'll try and come back. You know, the same question, but one quick addition, and which is finding the motivation, according to me, must be a huge task for an inheritor. What drove you?
I think it's, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I think it's interesting that how, now can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you for having me. I think it's very interesting that how each one of us has a different story.
Yes.
She was married into a family business. She got into it much later in life.
Yes.
When I was 6, my father started this business. Till I was 6, he had a job at another company. So I have seen him build it from the start. And by the time I was 13, I would say, I developed an interest in chemistry. I went on to study business and chemistry.
So at 13, you knew this
Not
was
at
it?
13, I studied this, but at 20, I knew I was going to join the company because I had an interest and I was attending meetings with him at 18. So it's a different story for each one of us. And what motivates you, I think, you said earlier that you're doing the same thing in and out, what your previous generation is doing, which is not true at all. Okay. When you start, you are told that you have to bring something new to the table. You have to be different. You have to be your own person. You have to be your own leader eventually.
So that's the mandate that is in.
That is true for everyone. So and that is what motivates you again, right? To be different and to set your own path and to create your own niche as a leader.
Brahmani, take that point forward about setting your own path versus what was already a fully functional and a running business.
I think I got a little lucky growing up. My experiences were very different growing up. My mom was academically very rigorous with us. So, we went out there, studied a lot, technical education, went to engineering school, all of that.
What had she hoped that you will be?
I think there were no outcomes planned as such, but she just wanted for us to be independent. She wanted for us to be well educated and then be able to make our own choices in whatever field we wanted to be. My dad's an actor. She never wanted for us to be in the movie space, but definitely wanted for us to do something different. So I think in the process, she exposed us a lot to different experiences. I still remember I was about 12 years of age when I first did my solo international trip, and it was to Japan. It was an exchange program. We stayed at Japanese people's homes with their families. So it was a very interesting, challenging trip, but exceptionally, exposing trip at the same time. She sent us to a lot of, Oxbridge kind of rigorous programs abroad to help us get more clarity about what it is that we really wanted to do. I think I learned the importance of being brave. I went to through the conventional Indian school system. So the importance of speaking up, putting across my thoughts, the importance of having fun in the process, right? Because, learning is all about having fun. What's the point if you don't have fun? And also about collaborating and, cheering for each other. So I think those are the values that I learned growing up through these varied experiences. After which, I got married very early, went to pursue my engineering in the US while my husband was in business school. He was at Stanford Business. I was at Santa Clara. And I think that was a very interesting experience for me because being in the Bay Area, I was so exposed to, the whole entrepreneurial circle, venture capital, tech space. So sort of wanted to get more experience in the same field. But at the same time wanted to keep my eyes and ears close to Asia because that was where the real work was happening, the real growth was coming from. And I knew one day I wanted to come back to India and, make some impact over here. So I think these experiences, when I decided to come back to India and join the family business, I was given options. It wasn't thrust upon me. It wasn't forced upon me. These experiences really helped me when I came back to the family business and wanted to contribute more. So I think post joining the business, I understood how complicated our supply chain was. We're a low margin business.
Yes.
So decided that, value added products was the growth path for us going forward to sustain the business.
That's the transformation that you really
Absolutely, absolutely. Today, as I speak, about 32% of our revenues come from value-added products, and the intention is to increase it by 2 to 3% in terms of revenue contribution every year.
A round of applause for that transformation that's been brought about in the...
Thank you. It
Priyanka,
was
I'm
really
just tempted to ask you, did your academic life and experiences influence the way that you approached your business? And added to that, was there a time that you wanted to do your own startup? You mentioned fashion, but dwell upon that a bit more.
Well, yes, I actually did want to. So just to give you a little bit of background, I went to Case Western in Cleveland, Ohio for a business management degree. And then again, everything at that point was just, I was made to do it. Just go study and then you can figure it out. But I was very naturally inclined towards finance, business, and fashion. 3 very different things, but you need to combine them. But what I didn't have was the understanding of how to run a business. So I came back to India, and actually in 2012, I think, or yeah, that was when I graduated. I had actually started blogging at that point, and social media was not anything at that point at all, right? So it took off really, really well, and then the line was doing pretty well. But then I was made to come into Granules because my parents weren't very open-minded when it came to a long-term career in fashion. In retrospect, that was possibly a good thing. Now, when I came back from, sorry, your first question was what the learnings I had?
Your academic experiences and their influence on what you eventually ended up doing.
Academic experiences, it was more recent. I just, I was telling Brahmani earlier, I just did a degree from Harvard recently. After a very long time, after about 10 years in the work
advanced
space.
management program?
Not the OPM, I actually did the PLD course, and
Okay.
now I plan on doing the OPM, but I wanted to do PLD because I wanted to actually understand the psyche of how to go from a manager to the next level, and then above that you can do at any point. So that actually, it's called Program for Leadership Development, which I thought was transformational to me. And there I met people from so many countries, so many cultures, so many backgrounds, so many industries, and so many levels of experience. And that was what I was able to inculcate into the company.
Okay. Vinati, between the two extremes of stepping into a business that's already running and the challenging of setting up a fresh one, what would you choose? And I want to ask you, have you kind of incubated a startup on the side?
I think we are very lucky. I think definitely the easier option is stepping into a business, because that's a lot of the groundwork is already done. And I have seen both my father and husband are first generation entrepreneurs. And I've seen both of them struggle, and it's tough. The first 5 to 10 years, you're bootstrapping your business, you're, managing capital, you're taking debt. And I was lucky. I joined the business when it was about 20 years old already, or 15 years old. So I do thank my stars for that.
Okay.
And that's an easy question. It's a very easy question.
Okay, I want to toss another question in the air. Acceptance within the company. Okay, and this is not because you are women. It's possibly on account of 2-3 factors that I want to bring here on the table. Being women, being either married in your case or being born into the family, and then having to work with a very smart bunch of professionals, because all your 3 companies couldn't have become what they are unless at different phases you had very good professionals working in the company. So how was that acceptance? Did you face challenges? And if you did, why was that? Was it because of gender or because of who you were? I mean, who wants to go with that?
I can go first. I think I got very lucky. There was a strong precedence of a woman co-founder, my mother-in-law, within the business. She worked tirelessly to build the business. So I think she set a very strong culture of inclusivity within the business. And I think even aside from that, the educational background and the potential value I would bring into the business. So I worked in venture capital in my previous life with the intention of bringing in more external value and newer avenues for growth for our own business. I also got a MBA from Stanford, so I think that gave me a lot of exposure and helped bring in a lot of different insights. So I think that became quite interesting for me. But of course, having joined the business, there was a lot of proving to be done. And that's where, we were struggling with the retail business. We were losing a lot of money. So my first mission was to how do we either turn around or divest from that business. We did it successfully. And then started focusing on value-added dairy products. And, as I speak now, focusing more and more on functional health products. And we partnered with a high-protein ice cream company, makes sugar-free, yummy ice creams. And we're in the process of acquiring 51% stake in that company. Okay, so wow. I think, there was some work involved.
Absolutely. The same point about working with professionals, gaining acceptance, credibility, and stature within that set. You go first.
Well, to start with, pharmaceuticals is a very male-dominated industry. So even now it's improving a little bit. Well, case in point. But 10, 12 years ago when I joined the business, I was all of like 20-something, and I was made to be the CXO of a company overnight. So of course, it was extremely challenging. People were not accepting of me. And I learned it the very hard way that respect cannot be earned through titles, cannot be threatened for, cannot be asked for. You really have to earn the respect.
Sorry to interrupt you, what was that one pivotal moment when you felt, okay, now they really respect me, I don't have to sort of push my way around?
When people were like, one person in our company, he said, we need you to do what you did in the US. So what I did in the US, I'll just give you a little background.
Yeah, that's very important, please.
When I went to the US, we had a B2B division, but we set up 2 B2C divisions at that point, which one of which was OTC and one of which was RX. The prescription side of it, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know anything as a company. I didn't know anything about the business. So right from manufacturing, right from setting up the facility was set up by the time I went, but nothing was done. So right from determining what products we make in that, getting those products made and launching the front-end division with no understanding of the business, all I was doing was, cold calling mentors. I was calling the most random people in the company who had established themselves, just messaging them on LinkedIn, trying to hire them as consultants, signing agreements left and right. I just did everything. And with a bit of luck, we built that business to where it's today. It's about 60% of the overall business's contributor. Okay. So I did that in the US. And the day I felt like people respected me was when a few people in a meeting, they said, we need you to do in India what you have done in the US. So that is when I started to feel a little bit respected. So I really feel like you have to earn it, and you have to go from scratch, step by step, and really earn the respect of people around you.
So before Vinati jumps in on the same question, it's clear, if any of you imagined that somebody could just waltz their way in and they would get respected or treated as a serious professional business manager, it isn't so easy. That's the two people here. Your experience in this regard?
I think very, very similar, but I think Brahmani mentioned that one, when you come with a certain set of educational background, there's an expectation already in place. I do actually think manufacturing or pharmaceuticals, while it is male dominated, but it's also a very fair industry. If you're good at what you do, and manufacturing is just about product, service, and quality. And if you just keep your head down and focus on these 3 things and deliver this to your customers or to your shareholders, your professionals in your company start seeing through and start respecting.
Process is God.
No, process, of course, process is there, but that eventually leads to product, service, and quality, right?
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned the word mentor, and that was what I wanted to come to now. Brahmani, who has mentored you? There could be more than one. And who do you look up to as far as your professional life is concerned?
I think for me, we have an excellent mentor within the family itself, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. He had started the company. He's a nation builder. He's a visionary. He embraces technology. He's a person, even at the age of 75, thinks creatively and very innovatively. So I think I'm blessed and lucky to have him in the in the family itself. But I think
Can I interrupt you there? There's a public perception about Mr. Naidu, the person who started the IT revolution, Cyberabad and other things. I was a student in Secunderabad, Hyderabad those days, and that was the big thing. How is he inside the home? Because the moment you step out, you have a political persona. Share whatever you can with us.
I think he's the easiest person to work with because once he gives a vision, once he gives responsibilities, he gives that space with great expectations in mind. So I think it's so hard to come across a leader like that. And he's exceptionally purpose-driven. He keeps telling us always, make sure you have an impact in whatever you're doing or don't do it. And do it wholeheartedly. So our family council meetings are also driven very professionally. Each one of us has a responsibility and we report back to each other, and it's a very fair process that we have.
So
I
is
think
there
it's
an
incredible.
informal family business council?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think it's very important, right? Because, again, coming back to work-life balance, etc. We're a very dislocated family in terms of where we stay. My husband and my father-in-law, they stay in another state. I stay in Hyderabad mostly, and I shuttle a lot between the two states, and we travel a lot on work. Sometimes, we're in 3 different cities on a single day.
I want to push you
that amount of discipline is really important to really make that impact. And
I want to push you, please allow me. And if Mr. Naidu were to ask you to jump into politics, what would you say?
Absolutely not my area of interest. I think I have a very unique opportunity to make a big impact through heritage foods. My organization, my first child, to influence lakhs and lakhs of women farmers, right? And crores of Indian consumers. So why would I let go of that opportunity? Secondly, I'm personally very, very passionate about health and nutrition. As a person, I've grown up, loving that space. And I believe dairy has the power to be the most holistic and approachable source of nutrition in a highly vegetarian society. So I'm very excited about what I'm doing, and I love the people that I work with. And to your question of, working with professionals, etc., I personally really think that it's a fine balance between the wisdom and the experience that the seniors bring in, and the enthusiasm and the creativity that people from outside bring in as you build newer capabilities within organizations. And in our organization, I think we're bringing in those newer capabilities and skills in sales and distribution, into marketing, into R&D, because we want to be on the top of innovation.
Lakhs of people who are part of that company, because without them that company wouldn't be there, and all of them are also voters. But I won't push this point any further.
No, Siddharth, you must understand our company is diversified across 19 states. We sell our products across 19 states. We procure milk across 7 or 8 different states as I speak with you. So we are a highly diversified company in terms of our presence. We're a listed company. We've been listed since 1994, so high levels of corporate governance. We have external shareholders that we need to be answerable to. So, I think there's a fair amount of discipline in what we do and how we do things.
I respect that answer, really. Now
Actually, I just want to add one thing to what she said and your question. She says she does not want to enter politics. Fair enough. She truly is very passionate about what she does. But the amount of work she does in the background, nobody knows about that.
A round of applause for that. On the question of the mentors in your life, your professional life.
Mentor life and professional life? Mentors in my life. Okay. So for me, honestly, I never really had a mentor per se, except for very recently, where we started having a family mentor / a family counselor, because it's a family business at the end of the day. It's my father, my mother, my brother, and myself. We're all involved in the business. And then I have a one-on-one session with this person who is a family mentor and also my personal counselor. And I think what he has done for me is incredible. And he just, one thing that I want to just say here is he looked at me once and he's like, do you think you're a leader? I said, I think I am. He's like, did you ever shape a person's life or career? I said, I don't know. I don't think so. Then he said, if you leave the company today, will anybody walk out with you? I said, I don't know. And he said, you're just a worker. You're not a leader. The day you're confident enough that people will leave the company for you and walk with you is the day you're a leader. So then he started teaching me about very many ways of being a leader, which I can take the entire session to talk about it. And I think that one dialogue that I had with this person changed my life in so many ways. And if I had to pick one person, I think I would pick this person to be my mentor. But apart from that, I learn every single day from everybody around me, right? Everybody in the company has way more experience. Even people, like a manufacturing operator, when I talk to that person, even that person can be my mentor. He's telling me or she's telling me what to do, what not to do in his area or her area. So I think of people as mentors in general, and I just learn from everybody.
That's a good point. Vinati, I don't know if you want to come in on these points, because in the remaining 4.5 minutes that we have, I just want to toss a question to all of you, and I'll start with you. What does wealth mean to you? Many years ago, we started a program called Women Mean Wealth. And, it's nothing unique for India. We pray to Goddess Lakshmi. What does wealth mean to you personally?
I think if I was to sum it up in 2 words, one would be peace of mind. If you can sleep, without any doubts, without any inhibitions, that's very important. And secondly, from a professional angle, wealth would mean growth. If you are able to grow your business, grow yourself individually as well, professionally and personally, day to day, as well as, whether it is quarterly or annually, whatever you look at, I think these are the 2 most important things for me.
Great answer. Priyanka, I have changed the order, but to you with that same question, particularly because we are at the National Stock Exchange. This year we have had an unprecedented run of IPOs, wealth being created, new millionaires being minted, billionaire founders being minted right here, and that listing ceremony happens every morning. I believe there were almost 3 today morning. So in this background, what does wealth mean to you?
In this background, if you ask me, wealth means money. But for me personally, I think it's both, I think it's personal and professionally, they're both intertwined. Wealth in very many ways, for me, it has less to do with the cash on your table. But when I look at a person, when I call a person wealthy, when I look at somebody and say, this person is defined by wealth, I define that person by how he or she treats somebody, how her or his ability to learn and continuously learn. And I think those 2 really, really matter to me, and what I can learn from that person. That, I think, defines wealth to me in very many ways.
Brahmani, true wealth, your thoughts on that?
I think on the professional side, as I reflect upon the mission of our organization, which is delighting every home with fresh and healthy products and empowering the farmer, I think being true to that is very important. When it comes to consumers, we want to continue to be number 1 in our core markets and among the top 3 companies when it comes to newer markets. And number 1 in brand advocacy, and we do it very scientifically. When it comes to our farmers, we are very clear that we want to improve their incomes by at least 10% every single year and double their incomes over a period of time, right? And we do a lot of activities aside from the business activities that, the transactional activities that we do through our business with farmers. So that means a lot. And I think personally, the value of impact is very important. I think it means load of wealth for me personally as a person. So what more can I do in the space of health and nutrition is really important, and that's something that I keep thinking about all the time.
3 wonderful perspectives, both on their life, their professional journey, the businesses they run, and ultimately what wealth means to them. A round of applause for all these three. A delightful session. I thank all of you for your time here. And with that, it's thanks, and back to you, Sakshi. Thank you.
A very warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that very engaging conversation. May I request all of you to please stay and have a nice photo